Okay, Conservative Leader Pierre Poilievre, he was campaigning in Ontario and promising the biggest crackdown on crime in Canadian history. Speaking this morning in Sault Ste. Marie, Poilievre says he'll end catch-and-release policies for repeat offenders. Tonight, he's in Brampton and expected to hold a rally next hour.
The good news is that we don't have a lot of criminals in Canada. The bad news is they're very productive. Enough. It's time to lock up the very small group of rampant career criminals who are causing all the chaos.
Poilievre says he'll implement a 3 strikes and you're out law. That means 3-time offenders will be locked up for 10 years without parole, bail, or house arrest. Poilievre has also promised life sentences for human, gun, and fentanyl traffickers. Asked in French whether this crackdown would stand up to legal challenges, Poilievre says it respects the Constitution. Liberal leader Mark Carney was asked about whether he supported Poilievre's proposal.
For serious crimes or habitual crimes, which is the question, the full force of the law should be applied and appropriately severe punishment put in place. I don't jump to a baseball rule of 3 strikes and you're out for a period of time. No, it's a simple answer.
Okay, this is familiar and safe ground for Pierre Poilievre. It's one of the Stop the Crime was one of the 3 slogans, 3-word slogans that they would use before they dropped slogans this campaign. But we got some reaction from a Conservative to this policy. This is from Benjamin Perrin. Yeah. He was the legal advisor in Prime Minister Stephen Harper's PMO, currently a law professor at the University of British Columbia. And here's what Professor Perrin has to say about this.
Research is pretty clear that 3 strikes laws don't make us any safer. In fact, they were found to increase homicides by around 25%. That's because if someone is about to commit their 3rd offense, they don't want witnesses around to tell the tale or police to stop them. And so, unfortunately, neither do these laws prevent crime through either deterrence or by reducing crime when people are imprisoned.
So Tim, the law and order component of the Conservative campaign, they have said they would use the notwithstanding clause only on criminal justice reform, not on social rights and different things like this. But it's one of these issues where legal experts would say it's wrong on the law, but it might be right on the politics. I don't know. I mean, how do you view this? Like, it's very much a heavy, hard crackdown on criminals.
And I think, look, if Poilievre is going to get back into the game, this will have some appeal, depending how they market it, in different ridings across the country. It's emotional. It's not grounded in legal certitude, as Ben just said to you there. But I think he's less concerned about that at the moment. I mean, look, in our own province, Newfoundland and Labrador, they brought in a budget today. What did they do? Announced more money for law and order initiatives. In Chachi's province of Vancouver, or British Columbia,
we'll take it. We'll be a province.
Well, listen, write a letter in the Globe and Mail, talk about Vancouver's secession, join the line, all right? But in certain parts of this country, crime is the #1 issue.
Yeah, no question.
Fact-checking is not something Poilievre is worried about at this juncture, and they're going to push this hard. And as you saw in one of their videos today, when he was in Sault Ste. Marie, was greeted by a woman who had a friend who was, I believe, murdered by partner PT.
Intimate partner violence.
Intimate partner violence, and she was very praiseworthy of him. So that it's a vote winner. Whether it would ever come into force of law is hard to say.
3 strikes is like, putting that aside, the issue of crime and public safety, to Tim's point, is not a particularly ideological one, right?
Sure.
You can be left of center, you can be right of center. If you perceive yourself to be unsafe walking alone at night, if you feel like your person or your family are under threat because of needles in playgrounds or whatever it is, those then become like really conflicted, touchy conversations, particularly for those on the left of center, because on one hand, there's a sense of let's care for people. On the other hand, I'm worried about my kid. But it's one that tends to do better with, like, we talk about the massive gender gap that the Conservatives are dealing with right now, which is one of the reasons they're having the problems they're having. That is why we're seeing some of the announcements around domestic violence and intimate partner violence. That's why we're seeing a return on public safety.
And he's got a rally in Brampton, and Brampton is an area where there is a lot of auto theft in the GTA, and that's one of the key areas. So this is all part of it. I don't know if it's going to enhance the voter universe for Poilievre, because I think those that would put crime at the top of the list probably are already under his column. But it certainly would be a great motivator for those that are already in the column.
To show up.
Yes,
but
it's a motivator. Exactly.
I mean, look at the location today, right? They want to get that seat back in the Sioux. The woman who spoke to him spoke to a very specific incident there. They will use it to target some very specific seats, and that has always been part and parcel of the way the Conservatives run their campaigns. They're not alone in that, but certainly with this particular policy, it's about flipping some seats.
Well, and Amanda, with all of the focus on Trump and tariffs and what's happening there, this gets him back on the issue set that got him to the 25-point lead in the first place, and it gives him a chance to litigate sort of for key battleground seats, Lower Mainland, GTA in particular, what they perceive as the failures of the Liberal government on this stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I do think that the best line of the panel so far is that fact checking is not part of the campaign strategy.
I thought you would
now.
like that because the polls have been so low. I've given that one to you today.
Which is both
Wednesday.
Terrifying and accurate.
Yeah.
I think, listen, I'll agree with a lot of what has been said. I think that this is an appeal to the base. It's an appeal to part of the base that is probably slipping right now. I think it is appealing to women voters in the conservative base as well. The problem with these kind of announcements is that it's true that this would be well regarded among a certain set, maybe a lot of voters, but the channel keeps turning away from these issue-based announcements into the thing that Canadians are most worried about right now. Not that they're not worried about crime. It's just that when Trump he hijacks all of these announcements, and the tariffs hijack the announcements. So these, slogan-based, unfact-checked announcements where Poilievre would have gotten a lot of mileage at a particular time, they tend to just kind of come and go. They're like one-hit wonders. So the real job for the Conservative Party is making some of this stuff stick for more than just one day. How do you get momentum around some of these issues that were very popular, not just with your base, but could drive headlines? How do you get them to stick when you're dealing with some of these global matters that are taking the priority?